Quit within 30 days of being arrested on serious charges, or else you will be removed on the 31st day. This controversy over the proposed law by the Modi government continues. They say they want to ensure there is morality in politics and those holding constitutional positions abide by it. No running governments from jail or letting tainted, corrupt ministers continue. That is the government's argument. The opposition has raised a red flag. They say this is unconstitutional and this blanket power to arrest will be used to target opposition leaders and topple opposition state governments. The bill, which is called the 130th Constitution Amendment Bill, was introduced in the Lok Sabha by Home Minister Amit Shah last week towards the end of the monsoon session of Parliament. The opposition responded with protests and even tore up copies of the bill in the lower house. Now, the bill is heading to a joint parliamentary committee for further scrutiny. There too, reports say that some opposition parties have refused to be a part of it. Today, Home Minister Amit Shah has hit back at the opposition for creating unnecessary ruckus. Along with that, he has also weighed in on the resignation of former Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar and whether he is under house arrest, as the opposition has been saying. So in this video, we'll look at what the Home Minister has said, and we'll also look at some of his statements that don't really add up. Hello and welcome, I'm Shubham Chauhan. Let's get started. So Home Minister Amit Shah gave a 40-minute interview to news agency ANI today. Most of the focus was on the 130th Constitution Amendment Bill, where Shah mounted his defense and even slammed the opposition, of course. So first, let's look at what he has said on this Constitution Amendment Bill. Now, Amit Shah's argument was straightforward. Ministers with serious criminal charges cannot stay in office forever, be it chief ministers, cabinet ministers, or even the Prime Minister of India. If you have been booked under serious offences that have a jail term of at least 5 years, then that person does not have the moral right to continue, especially if they're arrested for 30 days. Amit Shah said that there was a tendency in recent years to run governments from jail. That was, of course, in an apparent reference to Aam Aadmi Party chief Arvind Kejriwal, who did not quit as chief minister despite the Enforcement Directorate jailing him last year in the Delhi excise policy scam, the liquor scam as they're calling it. Now, Amit Shah says governance cannot happen like this, where the chief minister is in jail and the chief secretary has to take orders and has to take orders from the jail. He says this cannot happen. The Home Minister emphasized that once a leader gets bail, he or she can come back to their post. He said this bill will not affect anyone's majority in the parliament or the assembly. One member will go, other members of the party will run the government. And when they get bail, they can come and take the oath again. What is the objection to this? In fact, Amit Shah added that it was Prime Minister Narendra Modi's call to include himself in this proposed law as well. That is, the Prime Minister, the post of the Prime Minister has been made a part of this Constitution Amendment Bill. Shah said that this was contrary to what Indira Gandhi had done. He was, of course, referring to the 39th Amendment that was passed during the emergency in 1975. That amendment protected the President, Vice President and Prime Minister and also the Speaker from judicial review by Indian courts. This change was brought after the Allahabad High Court verdict in 1975, which had disqualified Mrs. Gandhi in the infamous Raj Narayan case, where, of course, Mrs. Gandhi was accused of misusing state machinery during elections, and she was found guilty on these charges. And as history goes, following this verdict, Mrs. Indira Gandhi had declared the emergency in 1975. Amit Shah also dismissed the opposition's charges that this will be used to target non-BJP governments. He emphasized that in case there are charges against a particular minister, the judiciary route is open, that one can go and file a PIL and then the court will take it on from there. He, in fact, reiterated that this was not about party lines and not about the opposition or NDA chief ministers. In fact, Amit Shah went on to add that because of this proposed amendment, the onus will be on the courts of India to decide on the bail application within that 30-day period. He said, in this country today, the number of NDA CMs is more. The PM is also from the NDA. So this bill does not raise questions only for the opposition. This raises questions for our CMs as well. There is a provision for bail for 30 days. If it is a fake type of case, then the country's High Court and Supreme Court are not sitting with their eyes closed. The High Court and Supreme Court have the right to grant bail in any case. Shah was also dismissive of the concerns raised by the amendment's critics. First of which was that the removal of the minister merely hinges on arrest or detention, not conviction, but just an arrest for 30 days by authorities. Second, if the minister doesn't manage to get bail in 30 days, he will still have to quit. He will automatically cease to be a minister on the 31st day. In fact, on the second bit, Amit Shah said that the minister can return to their post once they come out. And he says, what is the fuss all about? He also seemed to be more optimistic as far as the case pendency load in the courts is concerned and the speed at which hearings take place in thousands of cases as far as the Indian judiciary is concerned. Amit Shah went on to, in fact, then make this very interesting comment. He said that except for my case, no bail case went on for more than 5 days in the Supreme Court. Now, this comment, though, seems to be slightly off the mark. You see, Amit Shah was arrested in July 2010 in connection with the Sohrabuddin fake encounter case. The Gujarat High Court gave him bail in October 2010, 3 months after his arrest. The Supreme Court only granted him bail in 2012, 2 years after his arrest. In the interim, Shah had to leave Gujarat and stay in Delhi amid concerns that he would use his political influence to in fact, have an effect on this case in a way. But it still took 2 years for him to secure bail from the Supreme Court and then return to Gujarat. He says it was 5 days, but history and record says otherwise. More recently, the Aam Aadmi Party leaders too had to have a long wait before they were granted bail. Manish Sisodia took 18 months to secure bail from the court. He was arrested in February 2023 and granted bail by the Supreme Court in August 2024. Arvind Kejriwal too took about 3 months to get bail. The Home Minister, in fact, then went on to add in the interview as to how the UPA government of Manmohan Singh had brought in an ordinance in 2013 that ensured that even a 2-year sentence would not lead to the loss of legislative membership. This ordinance that was brought in at the time was seen to protect a minister, senior leader, Lalu Prasad Yadav. Amit Shah said that Rahul Gandhi had called the ordinance complete nonsense and then tore this ordinance back in 2012-2013. Now, this comment too isn't quite on the mark. While Rahul Gandhi did call the ordinance a complete nonsense at a press conference in 2013, there's no evidence of him tearing this ordinance up publicly. Some social media handles have been falsely sharing visuals from a 2012 rally where Rahul Gandhi tore a piece of paper. Now, that was in context of signifying that the promises that the Samajwadi Party and Bahujan Samaj Party had made in UP in 2012, these were the mere lists of assurances and were of no use. The Home Minister then went on to speak about the curious case of Jagdeep Dhankhar, something that's been lingering on everyone's minds, especially the opposition. A vocal veteran leader who was the Vice President of India, someone who defended the government tooth and nail, along with views of his own. He then resigns abruptly in July 2025. Now, Jagdeep Dhankhar had cited health reasons in his resignation letter to the President of India. But questions are being raised on where is Jagdeep Dhankhar. He's nowhere to be seen. He's not talking. He's not seen anywhere publicly. He's just vanished from the public eye altogether. Amit Shah maintained that Dhankhar had done good work in line with the constitution and that health was the only reason. He said, "Baat ka batangad nahi banana chahiye," or don't make a fuss about it. Dhankar ji was on a constitutional post and during his tenure he did good work according to the constitution. He has resigned due to the personal health problem. One should not try to stretch the issue too much and find something. Now remember, like I've said, this comes at a time when there are rumors flying that Jagdeep Dhankhar is under house arrest, as the opposition has been claiming, and that he was even planning a coup against the Modi government. When ANI asked this question to Amit Shah, he dismissed the charges and he maintained that health was the only reason. Although the Home Minister did not clearly state on what justified the sudden resignation. A man who was chairing the Rajya Sabha till afternoon resigns a few hours later citing health reasons. In fact, Amit Shah was also mum on whether everything was well between Dhankar and the government. Reports say everything was not well, while Amit Shah on his part stuck to the health reason. And lastly, Amit Shah spoke about the upcoming Vice President elections on the 9th of September. BJP-led NDA's nominee CP Radhakrishnan will square off against India Alliance's Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy. Now, on whether NDA's pick was an election signal to the south, Amit Shah said having someone from that part of India was obvious. He said Prime Minister Modi comes from the west, President Murmu comes from the east, so it would be apt to have the next Vice President from the south. Now, Amit Shah said Radhakrishnan has a very clean and an impeccable image and that he was confident of a win in the upcoming election. The Home Minister then targeted the India Alliance's candidate, saying leftist ideology must have been the opposition's criteria to pick a candidate for VP. He then went on to say that the former judge, the candidate, was responsible for ensuring Naxalism continued in India through one of his judgments. Amit Shah said, because of this, Naxalism lasted for more than 2 decades in this country. At that time, Naxalism was breathing its last. The tribals formed Salwa Judum to protect themselves. The Supreme Court rejected it. After this, the schools that were destroyed due to Naxalites, CRPF and security forces were present in those schools. They threw everyone out overnight by issuing an order. There were attacks on security forces at many places. Rahul Gandhi should answer these two judgments more than Sudarshan Reddy. Now, for context, Salwa Judum was a vigilante group or a militia formed in Chhattisgarh back in 2005. It used armed tribals to combat Maoist violence and got funds from the BJP government in the state at the time. Amit Shah said that Salwa Judum was formed by Adivasis who wanted education, roads and healthcare. In 2011, a bench of the Supreme Court led by Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy declared Salwa Judum unconstitutional. So it banned this practice of arming tribals as special police forces or SPOs to fight Maoists in Chhattisgarh. The Supreme Court said that it was violative of Article 14, that is right to equality before law, and it was also violative of Article 21 of the Indian Constitution that talks about right to life and personal liberty. In fact, this morning, a group of former Supreme Court and High Court judges, along with senior advocates, condemned Amit Shah for misinterpreting the Supreme Court judgment. In a joint statement, the signatories said Amit Shah's remarks were unfortunate, and they said that the court's judgment does not mean that Naxalism is being supported in any way. The signatories said that while the campaign for VP polls may be ideological, this can be done with civility and dignity. The signatories added that such a misrepresentation of the SC judgment, and that too by a leader like Shah, will have a chilling effect on the Supreme Court judges, thereby shaking the independence of the judiciary. Justice Sudarshan Reddy, on his part, told news agency PTI that Shah would not have made the remarks had he read the complete judgment. He said that while he authored the judgment, at the end of it, it's a Supreme Court verdict. Justice Reddy then said that he won't join this debate directly with the Home Minister of India, whose job is to protect the life, liberty and property of every citizen of India, irrespective of ideological differences. That's all we have for this report. Thanks for watching.